चलिए, फर्स्ट श्लोका इज चैप्टर 3 वर्स नंबर 19। चैप्टर 3 वर्स नंबर 19। जिन लोग जो भी टेक्स्ट यूज कर रहे हैं खोल लीजिए। तस्मादासक्त सततम कार्यम कर्म समाचर, असक्तो ह्यचरन् असक्तो ह्यचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः। तो दैट इज द श्लोक। तो पहले इसका मीनिंग समझाइए कोई भी। ट्रांसलेशन मत दीजिएगा, मीनिंग समझाइए।
मैं कर सकती थी पर मेरे पास बुक नहीं है।
ओके, देखा, मैंने बोला ना, बहुत सारे लोगों के पास बहुत सारे एक्सक्यूजेस है।
So you have to do your karma without any attachment.
ओके, तो व्हाट डज ही डिफाइन एज कर्मा हियर? That is the meaning. That is you have given me the translation. Translation I am giving you. Give up all attachment, perform actions. Why? And if you are unattached, then you will attain the supreme. That is the translation.
And he is explaining about the nishkamya karma in that shloka.
What is the meaning of karma? What does he mean by saying that do karma?
जो भी हो रहा है वही कर्मा है।
नहीं,
वो हम श्वास ले रहे हैं, अपन जिक्र सब चीज कर्मा ही है ना।
नहीं, that is, तो वो हो रहा है कर्म के बाद। So the very good point you have raised. So that which is happening and that which I am doing, they are two different things, na? So
Whatever I
that
am
which is
doing, that is karma.
no. If then I can also go and murder somebody and then I say that is karma. I am not attached to the consequences. I should go and stand in front of the judge and I should say, I have murdered, but I did not murder. The body murdered, and I am not attached to the consequences, so you cannot punish me. Doesn't work that way. So what is the meaning of karma here? अरे अटेम्प्ट तो करो।
तो इसके पहले के श्लोक में मतलब यज्ञ का रेफरेंस दिया है और
ओके,
एक
तो
जो एवोल्यूशन एंड
इसके पहले के श्लोक में 18 में यज्ञ का कोई डिफरेंशिएशन नहीं है।
ये जैसे 14 में 15 में जो इसके पहले सांख्य योग का चैप्टर था,
हाँ,
तो
no, but
विदाउट द
my question is very specific. What is karma as far as this particular section is shloka is concerned? What is the meaning of karma? So the meaning here that is given. Good, Raghuji has also joined. Raghuji, the question that is Hariom, the question that is asked is chapter 3, verse number 19. And in chapter 3, verse number 19, it says, Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara. Right? Samachara means perform. Karma here. What is the meaning of karma in this particular shloka?
So this is chapter 3?
Yes, chapter 3, verse number 19.
19.
19.
19. Okay. Let me go to the verse.
What is the meaning of karma as far as this particular shloka is concerned?
So just give me a moment. I just came back here because I don't have a fast internet at the hospital. And then once I came here, I had to give my mother a full of all the events. So, and then I missed the time passing. So, just chapter 3, verse 19. Yeah, chapter 3, 16, 17, 18, 19. Tasmad sakta satatam karyam karma
Now we have done all the
samachara.
we have done all the chanting. Look at the, give me the meaning. Don't give the translation. What is the, I have a very specific question.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of karma here?
Nitya karma.
So the karma here is the action you do. It is not the concept of karma that it's my karma that this happened. No. This
So
is the
any action,
action you do.
any action.
Every action.
So if I go and murder
Every
somebody and
action you
I
do.
just use that as an example, and I said I go and murder somebody, and I then say, oh, I don't believe in the consequences. I am not attached to the consequences, so you can't punish me. Very good, isn't it?
No.
Then
Understand something here. You called it murder. If to be a murder, there has to be intent, which means that you did it for specific selfish benefit. Now, a soldier also kills. It's
no,
never called
hold
a
on, hold
murder.
on,
Soldier
hold
has
on,
intent, but it's
hold
not
on.
called murder.
That is not the sense here. Number one. Number two, this is why I keep saying, read each shloka with lot of attention. The word is karyam karma. Karyam, the word
Isn't
karyam
Nitya
means
karma the obligatory duties?
obligatory duties.
कि जो
To
करना ही है, hence
so
निष्क्रिय
therefore, in your prescribed role that you are playing, what has been prescribed for you, right? And the prescription changes. Prescription changes. In the Vedic times, the prescription for a particular community, for a particular caste, for a particular group of people would have been different from what it is for today. If you were the Yajñopavita and you came from a Brahminical family, then the only way you could have earned food was to go and teach somebody. And if that person, because you taught him, gave you food, you can't even ask for it, gave you food, you would be able to eat. Right? That was his duty. But you do it as a duty. But what we do is we do the duty and we expect a result coming from that duty. That is the sense here.
So now, in
right?
what way is this different from the example that I gave? A soldier also kills, but we don't call it murder. We don't call it murder because that's his duty. He has been commanded.
No. You use the word intent. Intent is different. Intent is different. Duty is different. Duty has no intent behind it. There is no intent. Duty is something that has to be done because that is the role that I am playing. There is no intent here. The intent,
it is not intent.
For example,
I would not say it is not intent.
For example, there is an intent when the surgeon will operate on the leg of Sita.
Okay.
It is not his duty. He has an intent to cure. Right? He is playing the role of a surgeon. Now, shift that same action. He will shift the same action. And now you shift it and say, Jitne log aate, I don't even look at the face. I don't look at the patient. I look at the chart. I open the leg. I do the work. I move. That has now changed the entire way in which you are doing it because your focus has also shifted. You have now started doing it as a duty. The intent has moved away. And that's a very important distinction that you brought about. And therefore, when we do work completely as a duty, there is no intent behind it. I have no intent when I am serving my parents. Okay. I have no intent when I am teaching here. I do it as a duty.
For you're saying the term intent implies that there is a result that I desire.
Absolutely. Intent, by intent, the word intent itself means that there is a result that I desire, right? So now, which other shloka does this cross-reference with? Obviously, this is very simple.
247.
Correct, 247. Beautiful. Thank you, Abhishek. Thoda sa padhai kiya hai. So, kitna marks? 5 marks. So, 247, right? 247 clearly brings the same concept. Here he breaks it up even further. So 247 is like an envelope. And then in 3, he breaks it down and brings about the concept of duty. Later on, he will also talk about intent and the result and how you get attached to the result and so on and so forth. I had also promised that I will talk about the Upanishadic reference. If you look at Isha Upanishad, the Isha Upanishad starts with saying that this entire universe is nothing but a manifestation of Isha. Isha here is cognate with Brahman. And then he says, Tena taktena bhunjitam. And therefore, you forsake your attachment. In verse number 2, in Isha Upanishad, he says, Kurvanneveha karmani jijivisheta shatamam samaha. Even if you live for 100 years, continue to work in this way. He says, in this way. Kurvanneveha eveha, like this. Like this meaning, like as was mentioned in the earlier verse, without any attachment. Tena taktena bhunjita. So Isha Upanishad is the best reference that I could find here. So obviously I also had to go back to my studies, my notes and all that to pick up the most. There are a lot of references that will come, but this I felt was the most apt. Okay. Question number 2. This may be a little difficult. Chapter 4, verse numbers 7 and 8. Verses are famous. Verses are yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, etc., etc. What is the application or interpretation that we want to work with? You have to have a working application, right? You cannot have a theory here. See, Dvaita here, Dvaita and Vishishta Dvaita find a very shortcut here. It's a shortcut. Oh, there is a divinity sitting on top somewhere, Brahmaloka, Vaikuntha Loka, somewhere. And from that Loka, that person comes down. This is an absolution of responsibility. Advaita does not take that view. So therefore, I need to look at it from a application-oriented interpretation for my purposes. Now, all yours. Yes, Raghuji, go ahead.
So I have always viewed these two as a proclamation of the automatic nature of the manifestation of Ishvara to address some great inequality or injustice or whatever. This is automatic. There is nothing you are doing. There is nothing. So yada yada hi dharma, wherever there is a decline of dharma, what does it do? It essentially creates some injustice because dharma essentially is there to promote justice. So when the dharma declines, injustice.
Stop. Injustice is not adharma.
Injustice is not adharma, but it is the result of adharma.
Injustice has nothing to do here.
I think we are going on semantics here.
No. Order. 2 words, chaos and order.
Okay, so but even when there is order, things proceed in an expected manner. When there is chaos, unexpected things happen. Things happen that oh, this is not what I wanted at all. Okay, and so what happens then? People, the entire universe then literally what I say, you are creating a shift in the equilibrium, and there is a force that brings it back. And that is the manifestation of Ishvara.
Okay, anybody else?
Adharm, so as you had said earlier, anything which takes one या पाप away from the path, जो सही evolution या सही progress है, तो जब लोग उससे हटने लगते हैं, ऐसी forces ज्यादा हो जाती हैं कि अधिकतर most of the humanity goes away from that right path of progress and evolution. So that is what I meant by अधर्म increase होता है.
Okay, let me put it first here. Firstly, we have to also look at this shloka from the contextual perspective of where we are. So where are we? We are in the 4th chapter. In the 4th chapter, what are we looking at? We are looking at the Tvam, I. I'm looking at the small I. And here he is saying, he is not talking this in chapter 10, right? In chapter 10, the cosmic entire thing, and then I come down and I play the role of Krishna, or I play the role of Rama, or Varaha, or whatever, or Kala Bhairava. No, he's not even there. He's in chapter 4. He's talking of you individually. And there he is saying, so I like where you are going when you say that Adharma is taking me away from my own evolution. So first, contextually, I agree. There is a cosmic thing here also happening. That's one interpretation. But I looked at it first and foremost as an application. Remember, Bhagavad Geeta, Upanishadsu, Yoga Shastre. I have to learn every shloka must be an application for me.
तो यहाँ पे भी बोल रहे हैं कि जैसे मेरे को ये नॉलेज कहीं से मिली, वो जो फर्स्ट श्लोक में विवस्वान एंड पास ऑन हुई है, एंड इसके पहले भी उन्होंने जो कर्म योग और सांख्य योग में कुछ सॉल्यूशंस बताए हैं. सो ही इज नॉट सेइंग कि मैं ही अवतरित होके आया हूं, बट व्हाट इज सेइंग इज कि जब ऐसा होता है, इसलिए इन दिस केस ही इज गिविंग द सॉल्यूशंस फॉर पीपल टू कम बैक ऑन द पाथ.
And
जो
how do you do
बहुत
that?
लोग भटक है,
How do you do that?
सही रास्ता दिखा के, राइट? लाइक टिल दिस पॉइंट इन द मतलब गीता उन्होंने कुछ सॉल्यूशन या पाथ ऑलरेडी दिखा दिया है.
Very good. But how do I become aware or attuned to that solution? That is the question now. So basically, what are we saying? Yeah, what are we saying here? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata is there is a cycle. In my own self, there will be cycles. I will have instances where I will stray away. There will be instances where I will come back. I will keep going into the cycle. How do I move away from the cycle and stay on that particular path all the time? How do I do it? वो है सवाल. So first and foremost, by understanding that the cosmic order and therefore the internal order is not governed by me as I identify today, body, mind, intellect. It is governed by the self. Make sense? So when
Yes.
when I surrender that body, mind, intellect to that self, automatically I will move to the right. Glanir bhavati abhyuthana madharmasya. The moment you have surrendered, the self itself will take you across. So as a cross reference, what would you think? What is the shloka that you should look at? Hint, move away from the individual to the cosmic.
There's one that is already cross-referenced by Abhishek, the one that he says that you don't remember your previous lives, but I was there when I talked to Aditya, and I
agreed. But here we talked about this in terms of saying that I, as I know myself today, the body, mind, intellect, surrender to that divine, and that divine therefore automatically brings back that cosmic order rather than letting me fall into that cycle of order, disorder, order, disorder, order, disorder.
But then when
And
you say divine here, why are you still treating it as a second entity? It is not.
because
You are it.
yeah, those are only words for you right now, Raghuji. You have not experienced that oneness. That is Anubhava, not Father.
No, I understand that, but when you start
So we cannot stop using that until it is an experiential reality. It is not reality for you. So as
yeah,
of
but
now,
you also say fake it until you make it.
fair enough.
So even
So
the
fake it.
language you use
So faking
has to
it.
be the oneness, so that you will eventually be there.
So therefore, at this point of time, what you need to fake is oneness. At everything else, you take the imagery of Arjuna kneeling in front of that immensity that is quite often popularly drawn.
Yeah.
That is where you continue to fake it. And then when you see yourself in that image, so that you have that fractal, that fractal, I'm sure you understand fractal images. And therefore that fractal, that you see yourself in that image, and then you see yourself in that image of that image, and so on and so forth. That's when you've done it. But till then, see yourself there. So my cross reference to this was Yogakshemam Vahamyaham. I will take you across. Right? I will take you across. Ananyaschintayanto ma ye jana paryupasate. And Upanishadic reference, beautiful reference. Huh? The Supreme governs cosmic order. Swabhava meke skavayo vadanti kalam tatthyanna parimuhyamana. Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It's a Shaiva Upanishad. It basically looks at Shiva uses the word Shiva as the supreme. Devasyesha mahimatu loke yenedam brahmyate brahmachakram. Brahmachakram, this entire cosmic order. This cosmic order, it is both kalam, tathanye, time as well as non-time, that which is not time. Everything that is material, which is not material, all of it is governed by that which is divine. Yes, Raghuji?
Yeah, you use the term Shaivasya Upanishad. I was just curious as to when this concept of Vaishnava and Shaiva actually came about. Because when I look at the Vishnu Sahasranamam in the Mahabharata, I'm reading it, and I think I've mentioned this to you before. I don't see this as talking specifically about Narayana. The meanings of each of the term used are essentially aspects of the Parabrahman, and that's what 1,000 names is supposed to do. Is just to give you so many different aspects that you can meditate on.
When you read Gurudev's commentary on the Vishnu Sahasranamam, you will find an Advaitic viewpoint. Depends on the viewpoint. If you want to change your viewpoint and you want to look at it from a Ramanujacharya's Bhashya, then you will obviously see this as a Vishishta Advaitic viewpoint. So it's not about that. Your question about
No, I'm
how
asking
and when,
as to when it came about.
How and when it came about, I am not sure. But in all the Upanishads, there is a mention of the Ishvara. All the Upanishads, they mention Ishvara. Other than Brahman, the manifested Brahman in the form of Ishvara, and they give a name to that. And therefore, I use the term Shaiva because it does not talk of Vishnu, but it talks of Shiva as the Upanishad, in that Upanishad. None of the Vedas, none of the Upanishads, are particularly classified as Shakta, Shaiva, Vaishnava. Puranic, this is clearly there. For example, the Markandeya Purana or the Brahmanda Purana, these are very clearly Shakta Puranas because they glorify Devi as the source of this entire manifestation. So Brahman's first manifestation, Ishvara, is Devi. Whereas if you look at Srimad Bhagavad Puran, then it looks at Vishnu, or a Shiva Puran or a Linga Puran will look at Shiva. So at the Puranic level, definitely this classification happened. Not in the Vedas. In the Vedas, this term that I used was more from a philological term to say that what they identified as Ishvara here was Shiva. And Shvetasvatara Upanishad, those who are taking notes, Shvetasvatara Upanishad, chapter 6, verse number 1. So that is the reference. Okay, third question today. Verse 5, chapter 18.
Okay.
Verse 5, chapter 18.
So obviously, the cross reference will be back to where we have reached.
No,
Otherwise, we haven't come to chapter 18.
First, we have to look at the application meaning. When I look at the application meaning, what is the application meaning? But this one is simple.
Chapter 18, verse 5.
मैं आपको रेफरेंस खाली चैप्टर 5 से लेकर 3 से लेकर 2 से लेकर 12 तक के अंदर में ही करना है. आपने 18 पढ़ा ही नहीं है तो कहां से उसका मीनिंग करेंगे आप? And first I'm asking you for the meaning. Don't give me the cross reference.
So basically, he says here, he gives an example of the benefit of doing the acts of sacrifice, gifting, austerity, and all that. He gives the beneficial outcome, one beneficial outcome of that, which is basically it purifies the
Which
person.
verse are you looking at?
You said verse 5, chapter 18.
No, chapter 18. No. Chapter 5, verse 18.
Oh.
Which is
We are
why
not. Sorry.
No,
My
because
mistake.
you actually said it around.
My mistake. We have not studied chapter 18. Why? How would you go there?
Yeah, that's why I was saying that must be the cross reference must be back into the first 12 chapters.
No. Sorry. My bad. Chapter 5, verse number 18. I mean, suddenly, where are you going? How is this coming up? Chapter 5, verse number 18.
Okay. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shapake Cha Pandita Rabadakshina.
क्वेश्चन क्या है इसमें?
मीनिंग क्या है? पहला क्वेश्चन है हर समय मीनिंग क्या है?
तो पंडित मतलब जिसको सही ज्ञान है, नॉट कर्मकांड वाला पंडित, वो सबको एक ही
पंडित का डेफिनेशन
समदर्शिना,
क्या है? पंडित का डेफिनेशन क्या है?
one who is established in the right knowledge.
It has two qualifications in this verse itself.
जिसमें विद्या हो और विनय हो,
Correct.
दोनों से संपन्न हो.
So it needs both. Vidya, Vinaya, Sampanne. That is a Pandit.
हाँ, तो
Right?
विद्या है मतलब विद्या नहीं है, मतलब माया को देख पा रहा है.
नहीं. Vidya is not jnana. So I have knowledge, not realization. So this is a practice work. This is a practice shloka. So what are you practicing? You are practicing continual upgradation of your knowledge, and you are practicing practicing humility. So what is happening to you? You are shedding layers, right? Humility by your definition means that you are shedding layers of ego. When that happens, what do? Spiritual consciousness, spiritual development allows you to overcome your own judgmental biases, your own हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं उसको, जिसमें हम लोग ये बोलते हैं ना, दिल्ली के लोग सब ठग होते हैं, what do we call it?
Stereotype.
Stereotyping, right? So the judgments made on stereotypes, judgments made on behavior, we get out of judging, right? And we see all as equal. Does not mean that we see Brahman in everybody. It is not saying that. We see them as equal means we stop judging everybody. Oh, इसका behavior खराब है, ये भी आदमी अच्छा नहीं है. I don't think he is a good person. Good, bad, हमारा judgment. And therefore, as an application, one of the things that I come from this particular verse is change the language with which you speak, and you stop saying this is good, that is bad, and say I like it, I don't like it. That itself is a huge shift. Where is the cross reference? Any cross reference that you can find in Bhagavad Gita?
There is a verse that says different. He sees all the.
Please, what? Go ahead.
It talks also of outcasts and all. He sees everybody is just the same. Which chapter
Very
is
good.
that?
So chapter 6, verse number 29. He says, Ikshate yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. Right? He says that very clearly. Sarvabhutasthamatmanam sarvabhutani chatmani. Myself and this entire universe. Ikshate, seeing yoga yuktatma, such a person who is now. So this is the next level of progression. And he sees himself also in the same light. And I'm going to take this one step further. In the Chandogya Upanishad, verse number reference is 6.8.7. So 6th Adhyay, chapter 8, verse 7. And it's a beautiful story. So you should read that. In Chandogya Upanishad, it says, Tat Tvam Asi. You are that. You itself are that. You, and here the you becomes everything in this universe. You are that, you are that, you are that, I am that. So 3 different levels. Start with shifting the judgment away, move to seeing the self everywhere, and then seeing yourself also as that same self. So that was chapter 5. Chapter 6. This is one of my favorite ones. Chapter 6, verse number 5.
So,
इसका रेफरेंस तो बहुत बार मैं करते रहता हूँ. उद्धरेत आत्मानम आत्मानम. मीनिंग बताइए, एप्लीकेशन बताइए.
You are the enemy of yourself.
ट्रांसलेशन नहीं चाहिए, मीनिंग बताइए.
At the end of the day, you have the how do you say that, you have the agency. You lift yourself by yourself. Okay, don't expect somebody else to do something for you.
Agreed. That is the translation. So what is the meaning?
Okay.
How does it apply to us?
So when anything happens, you don't immediately start looking for hey भगवान ये क्यों हुआ है, आपने क्यों किया, आपने क्यों. It has nothing to do with it. अभी तो हो गया है, क्या करने का है. This, and what can you do? What can you do? You just look at what you can do. Other things will happen as they will happen. You do what you can do in the situation, and that's the only way you do it.
Not
and
only
whether other
not
things
only
happen
Bhagwan,
or not, you don't.
Not only Bhagwan. We quite often blame other people, other things. So something happens, and I would then say, "Ye uske karan hua." There is an accident on the road. You then start saying the government is to blame. I'm not saying that the government is not to blame, but rather than blaming the government, is there something that I can have done, or I can now do, or I should do for the future that allows me to learn from this and move forward? That is the meaning of the shloka, na? And therefore, what does it require? It therefore requires us to have a lot of self-discipline and mental training. That is the application here. Training, continuous training of the mind.
In fact, what happened yesterday, and yes, it threw my plans for a toss and so many things and all that. And I was initially upset. And then actually I realized something. Okay, we all embarked on this trip with no idea how tough it's going to be. But we did it, right? And when I put it this way, like if I'll ask this question to Abhishek ji, if I were to tell you that you have to go up the Empire State Building by steps, not by lift, your initial reaction, hey, this nonsense. And I say, oh, okay, hold on. I made a mistake. Not one Empire State Building, but 3 Empire State Buildings. That's the height you have to scale. And then I say, oh, by the way, the steps are not even. The steps, some are 6 inches, some are 12 inches, some are even more than that. And then, and also they are never straight, they're all crooked, some are narrow, some are wide, and so on. What would you think of a person who actually does that in terms of his physical capability?
Very highly.
Where you will put him at the top athlete levels, right?
Yeah.
I think, except for a couple of people in the group, the rest of us don't consider ourselves as athletes. But yet we did it. And that shocked me, that we sometimes don't realize how capable we are. And sometimes we say, oh, yes, hamare bas mein nahi hai. And we say, okay, we don't do it. So this is the thing, it says, focus, what you can do, you do.
Mind over matter.
Yeah. The Jagannath ka rath jo hilta hai, to get it moving cannot be done by one person. But if every person decides that he cannot move the rath will never move. If everybody get together and they move it, right? So the thing is this, every person's action has some outcome. So you just do what you can do.
Right.
So after I was thinking like that, then I realized that, in fact, in a sense, it is very good that we did not know how difficult it was. Had we known how difficult it was, I'm sure Sita and I would probably not have gone with this. Okay. So in a sense, it's a blessing that we walked in there oblivious to the difficulty.
Absolutely. Guruji, one point, this shlok always, at least to me from a application point of view, is also very, I think, motivational. It is possible that whatever self you have, that itself in a way is enough for you to reach wherever you can reach on the path, right? Like
Absolutely.
Guruji said, right? On the path, it's enough to walk the path, and I find hence, those two, the first word very motivational.
Absolutely. And it also therefore removes your dependence on other people. And that is the best, that is the actual application. The application is that you are not dependent on anybody else. So one, you are not going to blame anybody else, but more importantly, you are not dependent on anybody else. But
I'm sufficient to walk this path by
but at the
myself.
same time, the discipline is necessary. So cross reference किसके साथ करेंगे?
That said 617
Okay,
earlier.
what does it say?
617 is युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्त चेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्त स्वप्ना व बोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः.
Okay, so this is the method of meditation, he says, right?
So self-discipline comes here, moderation and
Absolutely. This is the, and there is another part where he talks of training. So this is discipline. Training, basically, what does training mean? Training means that you fail and you go back. Training means you fail and you go back, right? That is training, isn't it? हम बार बार क्यों करते हैं? वो जब तक हम सक्सेसफुल नहीं होते तब तक हमको ट्रेनिंग करना पड़ता है, उसके बाद प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, पहले हम ट्रेनिंग करते हैं. So when Michael Jordan has to toss the ball into the basket, and when he's young, he's training. Once he has perfected it, he practices it. Okay with this? So then there is a verse in chapter 6 itself. Chapter 6, verse 26, dekhiye. Yato yato nischarati. My mind will waver. He's very clearly telling you, I know that you're not going to practice, you're going to train. So, yato yato nischarati, he says. Whenever the mind wavers, manas chanchalam asthiram, your mind is a chanchala, it is asthira. Tatastato niyamyeva tadatmanyeva vamshanayate, vasham nayate. Bring it back. Where do we find a similar cross-reference in the Upanishads? This I have mentioned earlier. Some of you should be able to talk about, remember it. What are we trying to control? You just now mentioned Yukta Ahara, which is the body. And what am I talking about? I'm talking of the mind and the intellect. So basically controlling and training the mind and the intellect. Go back to Kathopanishad, the chariot example, right? For the reference, the specific reference, you can look at Adhyaya 1st, chapter 3, verses number 3 to 9. Beautiful descriptions of how this chariot is, how it behaves, where it goes, and what happens if you don't control it, if you don't allow it to be in if you allow it to become in charge. So that is chapter 6. Chapter 7, I picked up one particular verse, and that is 7.7. 7.7. It's a very beautiful analogy. Very beautiful analogy. Mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva, like the pearls on a string. Very beautiful analogy. How does that apply to us? What do we do here? Yes, very right. Absolutely. Which is not visible. See, when I'm wearing a pearl garland, I don't see the string. You see only the pearls. But without that string, the pearls will never be in that string form. So, without that divine essence, the entire substratum that holds everything together, these pearls are all scattered, right? They don't manifest. This world itself manifests because there is that substratum on which this manifests. Right? Brahman, the word is from Brihat, that which has expanded. Beautiful, good meaning. Now let us look at some cross-reference. Any cross-reference that you can have? This is Meenaji's favorite. That is the clue. Meenaji का favorite verse है. आपने अनम्यूट किया मगर सुनाई नहीं दे रहा है.
नेटवर्क का कुछ
हाँ, she's traveling, so her favorite verse for this cross reference is Maya tatamidam sarvam, chapter 9, verse 4. सही है ना मीना जी? आपका favorite verse है. So when it says that I am in all beings, matsthani, sarvabhutani, they are not in me. And Gurudev here uses a beautiful example. He says, electricity is in everything. Bulb is not in electricity. Electricity is in the bulb. And the moment that electricity is removed from the bulb, that bulb is nothing but a blown glass which has no function. The iron which you use to make your clothes nice and crisp is nothing but a small lump of iron unless you heat it with electricity, right? Or coal, or whatever you want to do. It has to have energy to be able to make it function. That energy also comes from me. In the Upanishads, a very beautiful reference is there. In Mundaka Upanishad.
There is one more verse, kind of similar. Is
Go ahead.
the chapter 9, verse 10, where he says,
Mhm.
Maya dekshena prakriti suyate
Suyate
sacharacharam. Yeah, there's my proximity.
Hetunanena kaunteya jagat parivrita vartate. This viparivartate undergoes changes. Jagat, the word, very beautiful, good cross reference you picked up. Jagat, the word Jagat means jayate gacchati, jayati gacchati tishtati. That which is born, that which goes, and in the middle stays. That means it is continuously changing. That changing universe happens. Why? Because of me. Hetuna. He uses the word hetuna. Anena, this Jagat, this material world. Parivartate. Viparivartate, actually. So, beautiful. Good cross-reference. Nice. In Mundaka Upanishad 2.2.5, when I say 2.2.5, means chapter 2, verse 2, Adhyaya 2, verse 2, chapter 5. Yasmin Dyo Prithvi, Dyo is the sky, Prithvi is the earth. They are always referred to together. In Greek mythology, there is something called Dyaus, Dyaus, which is the cognate of Zeus. From Zeus, the Zeus word comes from Dyaus. Dyaus means the cosmos. So similar roots, Proto-Indian roots or Proto-Aryan roots as they are called. So in that here he says, Yasmin Gyav Prithvi Chantariksha Mota Mana Sa Pranescha Sarve. He says all of this, Gyav Prithvi, Antariksha, Mana, Prana, Tamavekam Janatha Atmanya Vacho Vinuchyatha Mritasyeshav Setuhu. He says all of this emerges from Tam Avekam, from you, that one. From that one, everything comes. Beautiful direct reference we can have. Okay, let us look at chapter 8. Chapter 8, verse 5. Chapter 8, verse 5. Again, one of my favorites.
Antakale cha mameva smaranam muktva kalvaram yatra prayati samabhavam yatina yatra samshaya.
So I have told that story a number of times, right? Where there was this Brahmin who fell in love with a prostitute, and then he had a son, and that son was called Narayana. And at the time of death, he saw the Yamdoots coming, right? I've told you the story. And it's a Ramakrishna interpretation, very beautiful, where he says, do you know the time of your death? So that is the story that we had referred to here. But how do I apply that? What do I do? See, I have told this story also earlier. So that is the understanding of this is that I don't know if I have told you this, of this person who was on the coconut tree. Right? The person on the coconut tree, and he's about to fall. And Devi says, he's a devotee of yours. See how much vibhuti he has applied on you, on himself. Please go and save him. No, that is his fate. No, since we are here, you have to save him. If he says, Appa, you will go. If he says, Amma, I will go. And he says, Ayo. I remember this with my grandfather. Every nivala he would put in his mouth, he would say, Sri Krishna Sharanam, Sri Krishna Sharanam. Every nivala. We say Brahmarpanam only once before eating. And then we start saying, hey, this is not good, that is bad, isme nimak jada hai, ye tikha jada hai, and so on and so forth. He used to say Sri Krishna Sharanam with every nivala. He would sneeze and say Sri Krishna Sharanam. He would sit, while sitting, he would say Sri Krishna Sharanam. When getting up, he would say Sri Krishna Sharanam. That continuous practice is what is indicated in this particular verse. Now, does this mean that, I have to do what, not denigrating any particular sect or community or here, but does this mean that I have to give up everything, take a bag of mala and go all the time? No, it doesn't say that. Because I'm going to cross-reference this, and I'm answering the question myself, more in the interest of time. In the same own chapter, same chapter, go to chapter verse number 7. And he says, do your duty. But remember God while doing the duty. Actually, what is he telling here, Arjuna? Yudhyacha, go and fight. He's actually telling him to go and fight. See, he's telling us, go and do your duty. The duty of Arjuna was to fight at that point of time. Your and my duties are different. Whatever they are their duties. They will go and do your duty. But while doing the duty, do it remembering me. Which is why, if you see, when you do it with that consciousness, things turn out to be better because your focus is also better. Which is why every time we say, na, सत्यनारायण का शीरा अच्छा लगता है, अपने आप जब शीरा बनाते हैं तो उतना टेस्टी नहीं होता है. Why? Divinity did not come over there and stir the shira for you. Because your focus was there. Your attention was there. And your sense of doership vanished and you started doing it for somebody. That whole thing changed the outcome itself. The probability changed. Can there be a cross-reference in the Upanishad? Again, the cross-reference in the Upanishad is direct because here it is talking of death. And Nachiketas' basic question itself was about death. So he says, Shatam Cheika cha hridayasya nadasya stasam murdhanabhimani sutrutakau. He says there are 101 nadis in the body. Through these 101 nadis, the prana may escape. But if it escapes through the murdhana, the one at the top, if you can consciously make it escape through the top. Now people interpret this very directly and say, there are 101 physical nadis and there is one in the hole. You make a hole here and it will go out from here. No, it has nothing to do with it. It's saying consciously you are meditating on the top. On your physical self, there is nothing higher than this.
Is that why they actually hit the top of the skull?
Yes.
I thought it was to open the skull so the insides.
I mean, that was one of the reasons, the physical reason. See, everything that we do as a ritual has a physical reason and then therefore has an esoteric reason also. The physical reason, obviously, if you break open the skull so that the brain matter will also burn up. But also, from the esoteric side, you open the murdhana so that the prana will escape from there and the person will attain moksha. No, that is the murdhana when you are approaching it from the topmost point. Mm-hmm. So very clearly in Kathopanishad he says, the person who gives up his prana from the 101st nadi is the person who will attain moksha.
So in engineering, we have, the German approach. So if you look at manufacturing things, so there is a whole aspect of quality assurance where they will look at testing and checking and seeing where the flaws exist. The German approach was slightly different. It said it put the process first and ensures that the process is perfect, the product will be perfect.
Absolutely. That is Gita in practice, right? The input is in your control. Chapter 2, verse 47. The input is in your control, not the output. So continually work on the input. How? Yoga Karma Sukhaushalam. Chapter 2, verse 50. Okay. Last question for today. Then we'll run out of time. So we'll continue. As I said, we have two sessions of quiz. So chapter 9, verse number 26. Chapter 9, verse number 26. Clue. Go back to the beginning when we started discussing, we used a word called intent. That's the clue.
Question is?
Question is the meaning first. Application meaning. Chapter 9, verse 26. Patram pushpam phalam toyam.
So the application is here is again, it is the intent or how you are doing it, not so much what you're doing it with. It is, are you completely focused and is it your entire mind is got that devotion to offer that to the Lord? He accepts it. Even
what
a drop of water.
What you do is not important. The intent with which you do it is very important. In Satyanarayan Katha, some of the Kathakaras, it's not there in the Katha itself, but some of the Kathakaras, they will tell you the story that there was a thief. And the thief was wanting to steal from the king's treasury. And the king at that point of time was doing a huge Satyanarayan Katha. He had invited almost all the nobles and all their families and all the important people and everybody. And the best priests were made available. This was a time when if God was called in Satya Yuga, in Krita Yuga, when God was called, he would come physically. So they were calling, and he was not coming. Then at the end, almost at the point of the Aarti, he manifested. So the Raja asked him, Lord, I have been calling you for such a long time. So why didn't you come? So he said there was this thief who also was doing a Satyanarayan Puja with the intent that he should be able to successfully steal from you. I had to go to him first. So he said, why? He's stealing from me. I am your devotee. He said, yes, but he was very clear about not what he is doing, but his intent was stronger. His intent was more powerful. His surrender was greater. So it's a question of how much of my ego is involved in the act of giving. And therefore, in chapter 9 itself, we have the cross-reference. We can go to, in chapter 12, we can go to cross-reference in the entire behavioral set of verses from 13 to 20. The behavioral set. I call it the behavioral set. What are we supposed to do? And if this doesn't work, at least that much. If that doesn't, at least this much. And he ultimately comes down to just one line. Utna to sab koi kar sakta hai. In chapter 1, verse number 11 of the Taittiriya Upanishad, very beautifully it says, Shraddhaya deyam. Give with Shraddha. Ashraddhaya adeyam. People, when they chant, they mess this up. Right? It is Ashraddhaya adeyam. Don't give without any Shraddha inside. If you don't have Shraddha, don't give. It is better not to give rather than have Ashraddha. Sai Baba used to say this so beautifully. He used to say, it is not wrong not to give to a beggar, but it is wrong to insult him. So even if you have to say no, can you say no by joining your hands and say, I am sorry, I am not going to be able to give you anything at this point of time. Ashraddhaya adeyam. Then it goes on to say, Hriyadeyam, Shriyadeyam, Samidadeyam. Right? Sorry, Riyadeyam, Bhiyadeyam, Samidadeyam, Shriyadeyam comes later. So, Riyadeyam, Shriyadeyam, Riyadeyam, Bhiyadeyam, Shriyadeyam. Give that which is auspicious. ये खाना ना सड़ने वाला है, एक काम करो कौवे को दे दो. नहीं, sorry. I know that the kawa will eat sada hua food. But will you be able to eat it? Samvidadeyam. Give it as if you are giving to yourself. Will you be able to eat it? No, then don't give it to her. Give only that which you can give to yourself. Samvidadeyam. Give with shame. Oh, I am able to offer only so much. Give with fear. I am giving you something that you may not like, but please accept it. Bhiyadeyam. Such a beautiful, powerful verses in the Taittiriya Upanishad. So that's where we'll end for today. We will continue the quiz with similar questions right up to chapter 12 in the next series. So we'll start with chapter 10 and then move on up to chapter 12, go back to chapter 3. So each chapter I'll pick up again one more verse and we will do this. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om